and then project settings, right? Then you'll see all these bunch of stuff. I want you to either go to display window over here, or if you want, you can just type out window, and it'll do the exact same thing. Click here, and now we're going to change the width and the height of our viewport to 240 and 320 pixels specific. Yeah, and that's only because our game is like a really small pixel arcade game, and you don't need that much space around. Then I want you to go down to stretch viewport. Okay. That display window. Yeah. Okay. So in window here, underneath stretch, and then make sure you cancel that filter term over there. In mode, I want you to click viewport, and that should be everything in your project settings. Oh, sorry, never mind. You gotta go to all the way near the down at the bottom. You have rendering and textures. Again, you can just type textures up here if you want to do that. Oh, there's a mic. Oh, lovely. Hello. Hello, is this working? Can you guys hear me? Is it louder? Okay, lovely. Yeah, so you can go to default texture filter, and I want you to change it from linear to nearest. This just makes our pixel art not look really ugly. Okay, and that should be, okay, yeah. And then just for the sake of keeping things organized, I want you to go to the file system window here, right click, create new folder, and we'll call the first one scripts, and the second one scenes. Okay, so that's your script and scene setup, and I think there's a GIF showing this, but it's been nuked by Canva, so you can see it like deep fried for some reason. That's where the project settings live. These are the settings that I want you to change in the window. Make sure it's 240, 320, and viewport specifically, and the default texture filter is nearest. Okay, so once you're here, click on the 2D scene button here, and we're going to rename this by right-clicking it, going down to rename, or just hit F2, and then type game. Okay, now once you have the game, this game is your root node. This is the topmost parent in your node child structure. Click on this plus button over here, and then just type up in the search bar camera, and you should see this camera 2D highlighted. Click on that, make sure it's selected, and just click create. Okay. Now, you can see this purple box over here, but more importantly, I want you to see that this is the parent-child structure. This camera 2D is a child node of this game. As you can see by it's indented and this little line on the right, right? After that, I want you to make sure you're clicking on the game, because if I go here and I press plus, any node I make is going to be a child of the camera, and we don't want that. So go to the game, and now press Control A, because it's a shortcut for creating and adding a node. And now we're just going to type node, and click on the node 2D, or you can just type node 2D actually here, and then click create. You should see something over there. We'll name this one our player, so hit F2, or just rename, right-click, rename, either works. Colon player. Again, go to the game, make sure the game is selected, press Control A, node 2D again, so now you have two nodes, and you should never see an extra line of indentation, right? These three should all be lined up like this. If they aren't, you can just drag them around. Like I can make this here, and if it looks something like this, just drag it all the way like that, and then they'll all be children like that. And then we'll name this one, we'll call this one enemy for now. Okay, so now you've created your three nodes, and yeah, we're going to make one of them into a scene. Okay, so take your player, drag him down into the scenes folder over here, and you'll get this pop-up here that says save new scene as. Alternatively, you can right-click and then see save branch as scene. They all both do the same thing. Leave everything to defaults and just click save. Right? So if I open this file system, you should see this player scene here. If I click on this, I forgot the name of it. If I just click on the open in editor button over here, you should see an extra tab here, and it should be called player. Okay. Again, the deep fried looking GIF, that should probably cover everything. Save branch as scene, click save, and then you'll see it in the file system over there. Okay. Over there, yep. All right. Now that you're in the player scene, make sure you're not in this unsaved scene over here. Make sure you're in the player scene, right? and then make with the player selected, press Control A. And now we're going to add our first actual useful node. We're going to add a sprite 2D. Okay, let me clip this on so you can actually hear me better. Yeah, so just type on sprite 2D and then press enter. Okay, is everyone created the player scene and they're now in something like this with a tab and a sprite 2D? Everyone good? If no one, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, that does not zoom in the way I wanted to. I don't think. Okay. I don't think I can zoom in right now with the way. Let me see if I can. Okay, that one zoom in the way I want to. Sorry?
Display scale?
Oh, on that one? Yeah, I could try that.
Edit the settings. Yeah,
Try that one.
Oh, that one. Oh, you can pick that.
Yeah, let me try that. Let's see if this works.
We can try increasing the font size.
The font size? Yeah. I mean, I hope this should change it. Okay. Is that better for you guys? Can you guys see? Okay. Yeah, okay. So you should see this big player. You're in the player scene selected right now. And you should see the sprite 2D. I want you to click on the sprite 2D over here. And then in this inspector tab over here, you'll see a bunch of properties, right? Okay, now actually what I'm going to do is install the assets that I said that you guys need to install, but I have not because I'm dumb. Let me just. Yeah, so all the assets are in this zip file over here. Just click on that. Open, extract. And if I'm correct. Okay, yeah. Once you have this, this folder here with the workshop resources, right? I think you can just, yeah, keep this open over here and drag the workshop resources down into the file system. When you do that, it should like load for a second. Yeah, may have some errors, that's okay. And then you should see this workshop resources folder over here. Oh, yeah, okay. So at the very beginning, there was a link, and I can keep that link up here again. So once you're on this link over here, it'll have the support document that has like some of the scripts and some of the resources that you need. I'll just give everyone time to type that in if they haven't. Yep, and once you're on this link over here, it should bring you to something like this. Click on this assets button here, workshop resources, you should get a zip file, extract that, and drag it into your file system over here. Just keep it over here. So if I just bring it over here like that, it'll add it. Okay. Now, with your sprite selected, I want you to go into your workshop resources. I'll just click on this little arrow to like open up all the subfolders. In the sprites button over here, you should see 4 of these like images or something like that. Drag this playership.png into the texture. Alternatively, if you want, you can go onto this texture, click this button, go to quick load, and then just click playership.png. Either of them work. They both do the same thing. You should see, and if I zoom in now using the scroll wheel or using like these 2 buttons over here, you can see our player. If you don't see our player, for example, if you see something like this, just make sure with the player selected, you press F, and it should center the player back into the scene. I'll give everyone some time just to do that. So just again, player sprite 2D selected, drag your playership into the textures area, and it should put this thing over here. If anyone is struggling, just raise your hand, and we'll get someone to help you out. Okay. Yep, is everything okay?
I think when I'm not dragging it here, you're dragging it here.
You can drag it here or there. They both do the same thing because as long as it's added like that, it's okay. It's fine.
If I drag it here, it brings up another like yeah, it does it.
Oh, it creates a second one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Drag it into here, into this text. Like, make sure either of them work. You can, yeah, delete that one. Press, yeah, delete, go select that one. Then, okay, now press F. You already have the texture added. That's why, yeah, press F. So you already have the texture added. That's all good. And you also have the right texture. But yeah, I'm sorry, I meant to drag it over here and not here because when you add it here, it just creates an extra sprite for it.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Oh, good. Do you want one of these if you didn't get one?
Oh.
The event calendar?
Oh, yeah, can I get one?
Sure. We'll pass them out at the end as well. But yeah. Okay, is everyone good with this player sprite 2D? If not, again, raise your hand because we have a lot of time. So any difficulties? Yeah. Oh, okay. So it created two, right? Yeah, sorry, I should have. You can just delete that one by right-clicking and delete. Yep. And then, why did I not delete it? Yeah, and then when I click go here, I can do this button over here, press quick load. And then it'll do player shape PNG. Okay. Some of you may have noticed that if you drag the image into the viewport, it might accidentally create a second sprite. That's also another way to do it. I was just showing the first way because that's how you use the inspector to add stuff. Yeah.
What's the setting called for it, like the pixel art in the project settings?
Oh, okay, yeah. If your pixel art looks really blurry or something like that, go to project settings and type rendering. Sorry, not rendering. Type texture, I believe. Yeah, and when you type texture in the textures button, set your default texture filter to nearest instead of linear. And that should fix your pixel art. Okay, is everyone all good? I'll continue. All right. Okay. Yeah. Once you add that sprite, you'll see a little asterisk over here on your tab. That just means your scene hasn't been saved. So just press Control S or Command S on Mac, I think, and that should save your scene. Then the next thing I want you to do is with your player node selected, the one at the topmost. Don't change. Make sure the sprite node is not selected. The one at the very top. I want you to click on this button over here. It says move mode. Or you can just type the W key, and you should see these two arrows pop up, right? If I click on the green arrow, it moves my player up on the Y direction, and if I click on the red arrow, it moves it in the X direction, right? Alternatively, if I don't click on any of the arrows, I can just move them around freehand like that. Okay, now I'm going to show a different way of moving, which is using the inspector. So with the player selected, go to transform, and you should see these two position coordinates. If I set the position to 10, I want you to tell me what you think is going to happen, right? Because like I said, the Y is this axis on the green, and the red is the axis on the red. So if I set the position to 0, 10, what do you think will happen? It should move up, right? Yeah, Godot is weird. Godot makes anything that's positive Y move down, and anything that's negative Y move up. It is weird. I don't know why it does that. I haven't figured out how to change it, so we're going to live with that, okay? We're going to set the player ship to move 100 down, but not in this scene over here, okay? So again, save the scene, go to game scene, right? And you should see like these two tabs. So make sure you're on the game scene specifically, right? And then click on the player, go to transform, set the position to 100. So he's moving 100 pixels below the center of the scene. You should see something like that. Do we have extra chairs? Okay, we'll get some more chairs, but yeah. I didn't expect this many people to show up. Yep. Okay, so I'll just put all the instructions up there. Okay, that's all our setting up done. So just tell me right now if anyone's still doing the setup thing, just raise your hand, someone will come to help you. Blake? And Taha is coming in a second as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The root node. Oh, okay. So in this one, you don't need to edit. Hang on. Press OK. I think on here. Okay. So the problem is you accidentally changed the top on this. I made a mistake. I meant to say the player over here. So with this selected, I'm just gonna reset it and save. Okay, that should be fixed now. Don't worry about it. It was just a small typo. It's all good. Oh, yeah?
If this is right, it's showing unsaved.
Oh yeah. Once you hit save once, it'll just save it as put in the scenes thing. Sorry. Yeah, I'll talk about that actually. Yeah. Oh, sorry. If you see on the tab on the top, if you see unsaved instead of game, oh wait, what the hell? If you see unsaved over here instead of game, press save on the first time and it'll ask you to say where you want to save it. You can just make sure it's dragged into the scenes folder over here. I don't know why it looks so weird. Can't really do anything about that. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll put some chairs on the side, but yeah, sorry, we didn't expect this many people to show up. So what's over there? Okay. There's a spot over there where Blake's standing. And yeah, it's probably as many spots as we can get. I'll just put some chairs over there. Taha? Did anyone raise their hand? I can get someone to help you out. Yeah. Taha, could you go there?
Sorry, so under the game player, mine didn't show the plane.
The player? Oh, the plane? Yeah, okay, so when you're on the player scene, yeah, the Sprite 2D is over here. Oh, that's because, wait, hang on, let me, first you need to add a camera.
Oh.
And also your player scene, if I go over there. That's strange.
Because I just came in and...
Oh, okay, you just came in?
I might just...
Oh, okay, it might be, hang on. Your zoom might be too much. Yeah, okay, your zoom was just really, really small. So there's your player who's over there.
Oh.
And also, if you just came in, did you change your project settings?
The layer, the texture?
Yeah, the texture, yeah, that was another thing. There was also one thing window over here. So set it to...
Like a really quick crash course of what they've covered so far. So the general idea of it though is that, have you ever coded in Java? No. Okay, I have no coding experience. Oh, okay, perfect. So generally speaking, Godot uses something similar to like what's called an object-oriented program. The idea is we split everything into...
Okay, so that should be everything set, and also...
So the idea is for every function that you need, it would have its own individual node.
Okay.
They come together to build.
Yep.
So for example, car.
Yeah, I'll give another 5 minutes for everyone to just, anyone who just came, set up and help out. Sorry.
I just really had a question.
Yeah?
Does it matter where we save the scenes? Or
No, it doesn't matter at all. It's just for the sake of organization. You can put it in whatever folder you want. Yeah.
Is there like workshop every week?
Do you have a
Sorry?
laptop?
No, I don't have a laptop. That's why I can
Is this workshop what, sorry?
every week.
We usually run them every 2 weeks, but this workshop is a 2-part series. So there's a part 1 right now, and the second part is next week on the same time.
Same time.
Yeah.
The gentleman in the pink shirt, he just got here, so he's
Oh,
like
okay.
very...
All right. I'll post a link to the presentation I'm using right now in the support document. So that should probably fix all of that. share. Okay, and oh, okay, that's, hang on. Okay, if you go on to this, if for anyone who just came, right? If you go on to, let me just give me a second. If you go onto this link over there and just type that in, on the very top you'll see the workshop slides. So if you're just a bit behind, you can just scroll through them. But yeah, and at the end of this workshop, I will have the finished project uploaded soon. So that way, if you haven't attended or if you're like halfway through this workshop, you can still catch up in the second part.
Yeah, so the assets, you just download those there as a folder. We go through it, but the exact details will all be the slides. It should be some organization.
Okay. I'll probably get you to sit down because I'll start the second part, but thanks so much for helping me out. Okay, this. I'm gonna put this cat like over there. Okay, I'm gonna continue on because we are running a little bit short on time and I want to make sure everything is covered. So hopefully everyone has a player plane in the main game view or the player scene, any of that works out. And now we'll get started on actually moving our player. So before we actually do some code and move our player in the thing, I'm going to talk about how most game engines capture player movement, right? If you have like a D-pad or a joystick or anything that has like 4 different buttons that you use to move around, almost every game engine captures the movement using vectors. If you've done maths, hopefully you know what a vector is. If not, just think of it as like an arrow, right? So if I press the top button of my D-pad, the contrast is really bad on that screen, but this smaller arrow here is the input vector, and it's on the y-axis pointing up because that's where the arrow should be pointing, right? If I press it on the right part of the D-pad, the input vector is on the x-axis, right? If I gave you the coordinate of this vector, it would be 1, 0, and then up here would be 0, 1, okay? And if I press both at the same time, the input vectors get added up, so you have an arrow looking something like this. Just think of the arrow as like, it can be in one of these 8 directions. It can be up here, there, 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 like that. Okay, now let's actually get movement using a script, right? I'm gonna go back to Godot, make sure all their scenes are saved by just pressing Control S or Command S, and go to the player scene, right? I want you to click on this little button. Okay, make sure first you've selected your main player, topmost player node, and click on this little plus button. It should say attach a new or existing script to the selected node. Press that, and you should see all these things. You can change the path if you want. So I'm going to click that little folder icon, and then make sure I'm in the scripts folder. Press open, and you should see the file just called player.gd. Click create. You should leave everything else to the defaults. It should be fine. Create. Okay. Firstly, the .gd is an extension. It just means you're using GD script, which is what Godot uses as its main scripting language. It's really similar to Python if you've done CS and you know how Python works. It's like it uses tabs for indentation, and it's very, very ingrained into the Godot mechanics. So it would help if you know, and like later when you're done with this workshop, you can learn more about it later. Okay, that should be, yep, the script attached. I think there is a GIF explaining this. Okay, again, it's the quality is, yeah. I can't do anything about that, but hopefully you can make something out with all those pixels. Okay, we're going to make our player move with only 4 lines of code. First thing I want you to do is just type out along with me, or then later when I'm done, I'll just put these input stuff over there. Type @export, and you can see how Godot autofills in stuff for you. So type @export, var, which stands for variable. Speed is equal to, I think 3 is what they said. Yep, okay. You can just do speed equal to 3, right? And you might, if it's saved, you should see this little speed 3 over here. If not, that's also fine. Then I want you to go to the next line down, type func for function, type an underscore, and you'll see that the Godot autocomplete shows a bunch of these functions, right? These are all the inbuilt functions that Godot uses. And if you want, you can just scroll through all of these, but we're just going to do underscore and type process. Press enter to autocomplete. And you'll see something like, okay, hang on. You can press this full screen to, or like distraction-free mode, yeah. So you can only focus on the coding part. All right, so export var equal to 3, func process, yada, yada, yada. Press tab because Godot is an indent-based language, sorry, GD script. And then I want you to type, let me just check if that's right. Yeah, okay. Var input vector is equal to capital I input dot get vector. And you can use, hit tab to also use the autocomplete. And you can see on this little pop-up there that you have a negative x, positive x, negative y, and a positive y. And those correspond to the these axes I was talking here, right? So your positive x is here, your negative x is over here, your positive y is here, and your negative y is here. Okay, so now we're going to hit the double quotes, right? And then UI underscore left for the negative x, comma, again, with the double quotes, UI underscore right for the positive x, UI down for the negative y, and UI up for the positive y. Okay, so it should look something like this. And I'll just give everyone some, actually, I'll just finish the rest of this script, and then I'll give everyone some time. And then right underneath that, all you need to type is translate, and then open the brackets, input vector multiplied by, which is the asterisk, speed. Okay, I'll give everyone some time to just do that, or you can also see the script over there. And while some people are just finishing that, I'll also just talk over. I won't gloss over a lot of the scripting and technical details here. This workshop is just for you to make a game. You don't have to worry too much about how the script works. But the main thing is that little export other thing means that you can now change the value in the Godot engine instead of typing like backspace 2, backspace 3 every single time. Var stands for variable. That means you're storing it somewhere. Speed is what our player's speed is going to be, obviously. The func process is a function that runs every frame of your game, right? So if I type in that, for example, func process move 10, that means every frame of your game, your player is going to move 10 steps to the left, right? And now what we're doing is grabbing a vector, like I said, to like grab the movement, and it uses these 4 buttons, which Godot has already like set up for you. And then translate literally just means move it by some specific vector, some offset vector. And we're going to move it by our input vector multiplied by speed. So this is like scalar multiplication for your vectors, if you know that. Okay, once that all is done, I'm going to just Control S to save. And you can turn off the distraction-free mode here by just clicking that full screen button if you want. And then I'm going to go back to my game. And you'll see that right now we're on the script workspace. So this was that workspace thing I was talking about. The only 2 ones you have to worry about here are 2D and script. So if you see the text, click on 2D. If you want to go back to the text, go to script. So with the 2D selected and you're in the game tab, right, I want you to click on the play button over here. It says run project. You can press F5. You'll get a little pop-up that says no main scene has been defined. You can just click select current, making sure the game scene is the one that you are selected, not the player one, right? Select current, and you'll see a little window pop up, right? Right now, it looks really tiny. I just want you to click this button over here. Keep the aspect ratio of the embedded game. That way, when you do that, you can full screen, and you can see the proper thing. If I press the arrow keys, you can see how my player moves, but when I press the up arrow, you're going to notice that your player moves down. And this is just one of the beloved quirks of Godot. And we're going to change that in the very next line, right? Because go to player, script, and like I said, this, oh, hang on, let me go there. UI down is your negative y, but we need to just swap these two around because Godot is weird and there's nothing you can do about that. So UI up is your negative y, and UI down is your positive y. Okay. And then Control S to save again. And now you can, if you see if your game is still running, you can just click this and it'll restart it. But if not, you can press stop, run over there. And now using the arrow keys, you should be able to move your player any direction that you want. Okay, weirdly enough, this keyboard is really bad. Okay, and then whenever you're done with the game, you can just press this, close the game window. Okay, I'm just going to give everyone some time to catch up. If everyone is like still working on it, raise your hand. Someone will come to help you. Great. Yep. Sorry. Use the arrow keys. Sorry, this one doesn't use the W. Okay, that's weird.
Oh, you can use security code.
Input vector. Translate input vector to speed. That's weird. It might not have been saved. Hang on, if I run it now. Okay, yeah, you just need to save it. That's all. That's everything is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, different than the player over here.
So this is like the scene that I was talking about, right? This scene is like your small area. It's the same. It's the exact same player, but like you see here, this is the main thing, right? If I change this scene over here, it'll update it up here. But most of the time, when I'm working on the player, you go to the player scene. When you're working on like the big game, you go to the game scene. Oh, good. Okay, if anyone's still stuck, again, raise your hand. I can come. We have 2 other people to help you out. Okay, I'm going to continue on now. Hopefully everyone has got your player to start working. And the scenes. Oh, okay, never mind. Lucky for us, I think this is a good time to just take a little bit of a break. We should be roughly an hour into the workshop, yeah, more or less. So just take a break, get some water, chat with your friends, and yeah, just relax. I'll give maybe another 5, I'll give a 10-minute break so you guys can just talk. If you want to add something to your game, you can do that as well.
Yeah, it's recording.
I don't know if the sound is being recorded. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Oh, so this is the full. This is the full player script that's like, and you don't need to worry about that. You can just close that.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah, this is
I
not the
mostly
actual.
came back. I wanted to brush up on my Godot
Close
too,
that one.
but yeah, it's great. I'm so happy that the tournament.
Yeah, so this is the one that's the main one.
Yeah. Just one more step. And I can finally retire.
Sorry. Thank you for coming so much.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, you're with Sissa.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I think. Sorry, I'm really bad with faces.
It's been a minute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to refresh on Godot as well.
Nice. Sorry. Oh. Yeah. Drag up there from the scene window to the file system. Oh yeah. Okay. So when you're here, and you should. Okay. So first thing is, this main one is going to be a game view, and you need to make sure that they're all in the same line. Okay. So like that. So that way these two are both child of this one, because before what you had was the Node 2D was a child of the camera 2D, which you don't want that, right? Hit F2. Okay. Command F2. How do you do function on this one?
Yeah, command.
I think, oh no, it might just be literally function F2. Control F2? Option F2? Okay, I don't know. Sorry, I'll just...
Okay, now that seems to work. That's okay. You can just use the, so right click on the node, and then, okay, it's called enter on your Mac. That's so weird. Enter and just type this player like with a capital P. I mean, you can name it whatever you want, sorry. It's just a bit of OCD. Okay, again, back here with this main one selected, if you press Command A and then do Node 2D again, now you can add a player. Sorry, enemy, capital, yeah. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. No, that's fine. And now what I want you to do is, so this is your file system here, right? Before we had made a few folders here. I don't think I covered that in the slides, unfortunately. So we'll call this one.
I made it all like in.
Oh, okay, yeah. That should be like, that should be separate from your thing. Oh, that's why you have two. Okay. I was wondering why you have two.
Maybe you should move it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where you put them. Do you make the folders inside here? I don't see
I'll
them.
just copy paste it.
Oh, okay. Then if you copy paste, that's all good. Okay, so right click here, new folder, and we'll call this one scripts. And this is separate from that one because those ones contain the full scripts. Sorry. I'll just. This is the capital, the other one's the small. Okay, that's what it is.
It's like this script.
Okay, fine. We'll name this something else. Because before what we had done is we made the folders first and then uploaded that. That's why it's what. So I'll just call it scripts. Sorry, I cannot spell it.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, but just make those folders and one for the scenes as well. You can, sorry, oh, okay, so I accidentally put it over. Oh no, this was correct. Ah, okay. So what we had done before, right, is in this one that you found here, we're taking the entire folder and put it here, and that's what might have, so yeah, that's what might have stuffed you off. What I'm gonna do is, yeah, just gonna delete them all. Command delete. What? Don't worry about that. Is that a clue? Give it a second or two. Yeah, okay. And now we just take the entire format. Yeah, now you can do your new entire scripts and it should work properly. And then do one for scenes as well, folder for scenes inside your yeah. Yeah, and now with the scenes highlighted here, take your player and just drag it down into the scene like that. And you get this little pop-up, just press save, and you have a player scene. Same with the enemy, but I'll do that later. So that's and then now if you click on this button over here, you have your player scene set up.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Also, I'll just save this scene, call it game. Yeah, and then you can continue on from the sides.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it, go for it.
So if we made such a game, is it possible to turn it into a reinforcement learning environment?
Into a reinforced learning environment,
Yeah.
like making the game,
Yeah, I mean training AI.
training AI to make the game. You could, isn't you want the AI to play the game, or you want it to make the game completely?
I just want to train the AI to play the game.
You could probably do that. In this workshop, it won't be completed the game. The second workshop, it'll be done. And I think like if you there's no easy way to get feedback from this because you need to connect your AI to somehow when it gets hit from the like when it dies, you need to tell it that it's a bad thing, right? I don't know how you can connect that to the game, but it's easily possible. Like this game is really basic, so you don't have to worry. Like you could get really high scores if you train an AI to beat it because it's an infinite game, so you can just keep getting higher and higher scores. But it's possible, I think. I just don't know how.
Oh, I mean, is it
Sorry?
any possible to connect this game to the
AI
I mean to Python?
to Python.
Yeah, because we need to collect the data.
I don't know about that because I'm not that familiar with using Godot anyway. I only recently started using it, so I can't tell you about that. What I think, yeah, you might have to search that up. Sorry, I don't really know about that. Sorry.
Thank you.
think, yeah, we'll see how like the later workshops go. I feel like it's because it's the first few ones that's having so many attendees, which is good.
It's just hard to find rooms because the only other than there, I still have that book.
I'll try like Gym Potter. That's usually, oh, that's not actually might be.
The only one that is available at the time is this one at like one of the medical buildings.
Medical building is not a great place.
It's like near. There's like an eye clinic at the ground floor. I didn't know they had that in Unimax.
Okay.
It's next to.
Okay, that's good. All right, I think we'll continue on now. So hopefully everyone's got your player guide to get moving. You still working on over there? Yeah. Okay, so next 4 sections, I think we'll get started. So we have enemies, shooting, collisions, and aesthetics, right? Let's start by creating our enemy, okay? I want you to go to the Godot main thing and make sure you're on the game scene now. Click to go to 2D, right? So you should see something like this, except, okay, all of that. Oh, whoops. Something like this, right? Remember how I asked you to create that enemy node at the very beginning? We're going to do the exact same thing that we did to the player by turning the enemy node into a scene. So you can drag the enemy down to scenes, or again, you can just right-click, click Save Branch as Scene, save him in the Scenes folder, leave everything to default. You should get an enemy.tscn over here under your Scenes folder. And then click on this little Open in Editor button to open it up as a new scene. Okay. We're going to do essentially the same thing that we did with the player by adding a new sprite, because a sprite is how you see it. Like the sprite renders your art into the game, right? Without a sprite, you can't see what your character is doing. So with the enemy selected, type Control A, Sprite 2D. You should make sure the Sprite 2D is a child of the enemy, like that. Then you can press F once here to just focus him up. Okay. Then go to the workshop resources and sprites here. And you should see enemy ship red. You can drag it into the textures area over there. If you want, right, instead of doing that, you can also, did I move? Yeah, okay. You can also just click on this button here and go down to quick load. And then you can just see the enemy ship red here. Why is this color look so weird on this slide? No, that's fine, whatever. And press F once to center, and then we can probably zoom up to maybe, 200%, and then the enemy is in the center, right? So I'll just give everyone some time to get that done. Yeah, okay. And then once you're done with all that, just press Control S once to save the enemy scene. You shouldn't see an asterisk if it's saved. And I'm also just going to save the game scene. Yeah, okay. Now, a game is obviously not very fun when your enemy doesn't do anything. So the objective of this game is you'll see enemies come down from the top of the screen, and you're going to shoot them down, right? So let's give our enemy some movement code. I think that's what they do. Yeah, okay. So with the top enemy node selected, not the Sprite 2D, and you're in the enemy scene, click on the plus button. Again, you can use the defaults over here, but I would change the path to script. You don't have to. It's just for the sake of organization. So that's weird. Yeah, so the path should be like res for resources, scripts enemy.gd. Click create, and you go back into the scripting workspace. Okay, our enemy has almost no lines of code. It is really, really simple to just make him move. Do an add export. Hang on, let me go to the distraction-free thing. Export var speed equal to, let's say, 1, and then func underscore process. Again, this is the function that runs every frame of your game. So every frame, you want an enemy to move down, right? So translate, which is the function that moves stuff. Translate. And then in the brackets, I want you to type capital V vector 2 dot, and then you'll see a bunch of these the capital things. These are known as constants, and these are just like Godot's pre-made data types for you to use, right? So you don't have to code them up yourself. You can see the one that just says down, just press enter. And again, I can talk about that weird GD Godot transform quirk, but if I highlight this, you can see that the documentation says y is down in 2D. So this vector points down, even though it's 0, 1, which is positive. So yeah, nothing you can do about that. and then vector2 down times speed. Oh, whoops. And then hit Control S to save. Jump back to the 2D workspace over here, and then go to the game view. Now, if I press the run button, you should see our player just keep going down and go past the screen. The actual game has a lot more complicated enemy behavior. It just doesn't move down, but that's something that we will cover in the second part of the workshop. Right now, all our enemy is going to be doing is just coming down from the top of the screen. Okay, that's that. And now we'll focus on shooting the enemy down, because this game is a shoot 'em up, so it's kind of implied in the name. I'm going to go to the player scene here, and then go back to the scripting option. Actually, before that, let me just cover. Oh yeah, okay. We're going to grab the input from the player first. So just like we did with the, make sure the player.gd script is selected here, by the way. Okay, just like we grabbed the input using input.getVector, we're going to use another thing from the input library. So var, let's say, we'll call this button shoot, this variable shoot button pressed is equal to input dot is action pressed. So you can use the autocomplete to help you out with that. And then the action that we want is UI_select. You're probably going to notice that all these buttons have like UI in front of them. It doesn't really make sense that your shoot button should be called UI select. That's just because if I go to the project settings, you can see that Godot has some built-in inputs that we can use. If you want, you can obviously add your own, but we're not going to do that right now. So UI select is the space button to shoot. Or we can actually, you know what, I'll use UI accept instead of select, because that one lets you use the enter key as well to shoot. Okay. So either of them work though, it's fine. And now what we're going to type underneath the translate is if shoot button pressed, and then put a colon shoot underscore. You're going to notice that the line is highlighted red. This is Godot telling you that what you just wrote makes absolutely no sense, because like it says, function shoot is not found in base self, which is basically its way of saying you haven't defined what this shoot function does, right? So to fix that, I'm going to go down here, and then make sure you're not indented, right, like that. So you should see those at the very left of the script, func shoot, and then put the two brackets, put a colon, and then just type print shooting. Okay, so what we want our code to do is every time you press the shoot button, it should print shooting somewhere. So that way you know you've actually got the input properly. Control S to save again. And if I run the game right now, and if I double click on this, let's make it in a windowed mode, so you can just do that however you use it on Mac, I don't know. Every time I press the space key, you can see here in the output that you can see shooting being registered, right? Even if I press enter, I think it should do the exact same thing. If you don't see this, that means there's an error somewhere, and this is where I'll give you some time to just get it implemented on your own. If anyone has any problems, just raise your hand. You have people to help you out.
Can you go back to the code for a second?
Yep. So I have the actual, hang on. So, yeah, no, I'll just go back to the entire code. So, oh, good. Also, if you have the slides or the support document, it has the entire final scripts that you can just uncomment stuff out. Happy to help him out. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Actually, cannot see my enemy ship in Godot for some reason when I play it.
Try, when I full screen this. Oh, okay, so Mac does it really weirdly.
Yeah.
Let me see. Do you know, wait, Blake, do you know how Godot works on the Mac? Because I can't figure out how to.
I've been struggling, sorry.
Okay, go. Okay, yeah, okay, so. Okay, that's. Game embedding not available in your OS. Okay, that's slightly problematic. Is your enemy script shown here? Okay, that's because you don't have an enemy.
I loaded in the image.
Okay, I don't think it has been loaded in properly. Maybe you loaded in a different place.
Okay.
So now if I do quick load enemy shape. Yeah, so every time you don't see stuff, just check these two scenes to make sure they're actually shown. So if they're there over there,
Right.
you should see them hopefully here.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I didn't realize. Okay, sorry. If you guys are using a Mac to do this, I think you don't get to see all these different options that I see when I run the game. So like, you don't get to see all this stuff at the top. That is a bit unfortunate, especially these three here. It makes the game like look better. I'm gonna maybe at the end of the workshop just try to figure out how that works. So hopefully people on Mac can also get this aspect stuff to work out. But for now, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna now get started on.
You just full screen the game on Mac.
Yeah. Okay, it looks this. Okay, that's fine. As long as it looks like that, that's all that matters. All right. Now we'll get started on actually making the bullet. Right. Go back to the main game scene, and like you make sure with your 2D option here. I'm gonna remove the distraction free. Okay, and like you did with the other two player and enemy nodes, we're gonna create a bullet node. So with the game node selected at the very top. Control A, type node 2D, you get that. And let's rename this into bullet. And like we did with the other stuff with the player and the enemy, just drag the bullet down into the scenes folder, and you should get a bullet scene. Okay? Right, so just open the bullet scene by clicking this button, or you can even double click this and it'll open it up. Press F1 to focus. And just like we did with the player and the enemy, create a sprite 2D, go over here to the texture, go to quick load, and you should see bullet here, right? Press F1 to focus, and I'm going to increase the zoom so you can see the bullet. I'm also going to show another way to create the sprite, which some of you may have accidentally done already. But if you go here in the sprites and just drag this over here, it says adding sprite 2D. So you can just let go and it'll add a sprite 2D, right? This one's called player bullet. It doesn't really matter. With your first sprite 2D selected, go to the transform property over here and set the X position to 10. Alternatively, if you want, you can just go press this move mode over here. So make sure you see these arrows and drag this up until it says moving 10 pixels, right? Take the other sprite, go to transform, set the position to -10 on the X. I'm just going to reset the Y. So you kind of see two bullets in a pair like that. Okay. Yep. Should do that. And now we're going to add a bullet script by making sure you have the topmost bullet selected, not these sprites, the very topmost. Press the add button, and then leave everything to the defaults, except maybe I'm going to put it in the scripts folder. Press add. Oh, create, sorry. Okay. Now, like I said, the player is the only object in your game that has a lot of complex logic behind it. The bullet doesn't care about what the player is doing, what the enemy is doing. All the bullet cares about is just moving forward, right? So we're going to do the exact, almost a similar thing as to what we did with the enemy. So let's type export var speed. We'll set this one to maybe 5. What did I set it here? Oh, 3. Okay, we'll set it to like a 4. Func underscore process. Oh, I'm not used to this keyboard at all. And then translate input. Sorry, not input. Vector2 dot up times speed. Again, you'll notice here if I highlight over the up, you can see that this is 0, -1. And yeah, again, Godot is weird. Also, here's a good time I'm going to talk about how to get help with the coding aspect of this, right? Because anytime you don't know what some function does, for example, I don't know why it's called translate, or no, let me see, I don't know what this process function does. If you hold control, you can see that it turns into like an underline highlighting thing. If I click on that, it should open up the help menu here on the documentation, sorry. You can see that it's called during the processing step of the main loop. Processing happens at every frame. So this function is called every frame, right? You don't need to worry. Some of the stuff gets really technical. You don't need to worry about most of it, but just some really small stuff. Like if I don't know what vector2 means, it's a 2D vector, right? So stuff like that. Also, if you can also just type online docs or search help over here if you're lost. Okay, save the file. Go back to your main game script. I'm going to turn off this distraction. And now, if I click play, you should see our bullet just go straight up, right? Let me just run that through one more time because it might have gone through fast. Yep, okay. Now, I want our player to actually shoot the bullet, right? One way we can do this is obviously put the bullet, so I can drag the bullet down to where the player is, and then when I start the game, it's just going to fire from the player. But this is not going to happen multiple times. I can't keep, if I keep dragging the bullet back to where the player is, if the bullet gets destroyed, I have no bullet to fire, right? So what I need to do is create a clone of my bullet, right? In Godot and in most other game engines, this is known as instantiating. So I'm going to instantiate a node, or a scene in this case, into Godot. To do this, you need both a reference and a parent for the clone, right? To store the reference, I'll do that in the next step, actually, sorry. And I'm going to talk about that parent-child node hierarchy I was talking about, right? I said, remember before when I said if you move your player, or if you move your parent, sorry, that all the children move along with it, right? So here, this is just an example, you don't have to follow along. I'm going to drag my bullet and make it a child of the player. And now if I drag my player along, you can see the bullet is also dragged along, right? This is a problem because if I do something like that, and my bullet is being fired all the way over here. Actually, I think I can show this in a quick demo. If I run this and move my player, you can see the bullet is also moving left and right. Might have been a bit too fast, but that's a problem because if I move my player to the left, I don't want my bullet also moving to the left. Once I fire, it should only keep moving up, right? And to do that, we need to break this parent-child hierarchy. Okay, so go back to the script workspace here and make sure your bullet script is the one that's being selected, bullet.gd. Sorry. All good. Okay. Oh, sorry, not the bullet. Go to the player.gd script. Then at the very top, we're going to type @onReady. Var bullet is equal to preload. And then in double quotes, you'll see like a bunch of these paths pop up. Just make sure you're on res scenes bullet, or just wherever you stored your bullet path. So you can, to see the path, I can go into this file system here, right? And I want to grab this bullet scene that we just created. If I right click it, you can see copy path, and it'll do the exact same thing, right? So make sure you have onReady var bullet is equal to preload res scenes /bullet.tsn. This stores a reference to that bullet clone inside this variable here, okay? And now we can actually create our shoot function. So I'm going to go, var bullet instance, or inst, is equal to instantiate. Oh, sorry, is that different on this? Oh no, yeah. So bullet dot instantiate. Yep, and just leave that in. Don't need to put anything in the brackets. And the next thing we're going to do is add a child. Add child bullet instance. And then, is there anything else? Oh yeah, set the position of this bullet into our player position. To do this, we'd go bullet instance, so bullet inst dot global position. You might not get the autocomplete for this, that's fine, it still works. But just make sure you don't have any typo. And then is equal to global position. I think that should be right, yeah, okay. Now, if you save your game and run it, you'll notice that there are a lot effect of bullets being fired. Every time I press space, I get a laser stream of bullets, and more importantly, they move when I move to the right and left, which we don't want, right? So to break that little parent-child relationship, instead of adding the bullet instance as a child to our player, right? Instead of doing what we did over here, where I have the bullet as a child of the player, we want our bullet to be a child of the game view, right, or the game scene. To do that, I do get, let me go, hang on. Oops. Okay, so get tree dot root and then dot add child. Okay, as you can see, it says returns a scene tree that contains this node. If this node is not inside the tree, generate error, yada, yada, yada. And the root is just the topmost node of the scene tree. So if I run my game, sorry, I'm not going to run my game actually. When I'm here, when I type get scene tree, it gets this. And when I type the root of it, it just means this node here and not any of its children. So and then it adds this bullet as a child to this scene. That way, the bullet is not a child of the player, and we break that parent-child relationship. Okay. So now if I run it again, you still have the issue. You can see how like the bullets are no longer exactly linked to the player. So if I fire, I can move to the left and it doesn't follow me, but you still fire a laser of bullets. We need to fix that. This is where I'm going to talk about hang on, is this mic working? Can you guys hear me? Like, okay, cool. I'm going to talk about what signals are, and that's another like thing of Godot that Godot uses to like make stuff happen. Just like how it uses nodes and scenes, it uses signals to communicate between nodes, right? When I talked about that parent-child relationship, which I'm just going to go back to over here, right? You can see that like the bullet is a child of the player is a child of the game. But sometimes your scene tree can get a lot more complex than that, right? If I have a grandchild all the way at the bottom of my scene tree, and I needed to communicate with like a parent-child somewhere like on the very end of the scene tree, very far away, you use signals to do like a wireless communication, basically. Without signals, it would be like trying to communicate to someone in like a friend's house using like a tin can telephone, right? Like just a piece of string, right? But a signal is like a wireless connection. It makes it a lot easier. If you do CS, this is the object-oriented observer pattern. But if you don't worry about it. It's more like how in YouTube, right? A YouTuber posts a video, and it goes out into the entire site, and anyone can see it. But if you're a subscriber to that YouTuber, every time they post a video, you get a notification telling you, right? Just like that, a signal is like a big, a node is a YouTuber, and whenever it does something, a signal is just saying, oh, if there's any subscriber to me, notify them, right? I think, I don't know if I have that over here. Yeah, okay. We're going to use a timer now to control the fire rate of our game, right? We don't want our bullet to be firing like a laser. So go back to the player scene over here. Make sure you're the topmost player selected and press Control A or the plus. And now we do a different node called timer, which, as you can probably guess, is just a literal countdown timer. Okay. You should have all that, and it should just be at the very bottom. And now I think, yeah, add a child node, name it if you want. And we're going to go back into our player script over here. And if I remember correctly, yeah, okay. Just follow along. So var can fire is equal to true. And export var timer. And then you use colon. Oh, sorry, export var timer lowercase. Timer. You can call this timer whatever you want. Maybe I can call it like bullet fire rate timer or anything. It doesn't really matter, right? And then down at the bottom in my, why is this weird? Okay, in my shoot function, I'm going to say can fire equals false. And if shoot button pressed and can fire, then only do we shoot our bullet. This is a really common process in, in game engines. It's known as like Boolean checking. So I first set my can fire to true. I say, okay, it's okay, the player can shoot a bullet, right? But the moment I actually do fire the bullet, now the game engine tells the player, okay, can fire is set to false, you can no longer fire again, right? Now we need to turn the can fire back to true, but we want to do this with a delay, right? With a countdown timer. So in the shoot function, I'm going to type under the can fire timer, or whatever you've named this timer up here. You can call it like countdown timer or something. Timer dot start. And we're going to set this to 0.2, which means you have a 0.2 second cooldown between your firing, right? And just to control this, it's really not a good practice to have these numbers just lying around like that. We'll set it to be a variable. So I'm going to do, again, up here, export var, let's call this fire rate equal to 0.2. And then down here, I'll just change the timer.start to timer.start fire rate. OK. Now, we're going to talk about how you actually attach or connect a signal, right? Like I said before, you have subscribers to your signals. And if I say, let me go back to the scene tree, right? The player script is up here, the topmost node, but the timer is at the bottom here. So I want this timer to tell this player, OK, I'm done. The time's over. You can now shoot again, right? If I go to the timer and I go to the right over here, in the inspector, you should see a nodes button. So if I click that, you can see all the signals that the timer has, right? These are some like generic signals, don't worry about them. But the main one we care about is timeout, which is emitted. Emitted is the same as just like released or like activated whenever the timer reaches the end. So double click that, and you can asks you to connect a signal to a method. Okay, you should most likely have the player already selected, but if not, just make sure that's selected and leave everything to be the default and just click the connect button. Okay, this jumps you back into the player script, and at the very bottom, you'll notice that you see this little green icon, which lets you know that a signal is connected to this, and you have a function called onTimerTimeout. Okay, I'll do a little bit of like a Q&A here. What do you think needs to be written in this onTimerTimeout to let you fire again? Remember, before we were using a Boolean to stop our player from firing, because if our can fire is set to false, then it doesn't activate this shoot function. So what do we put here in this timeout button, timeout function to let our player fire again? Yeah, exactly. Can shoot is equal to true. So that way, every time we fire, we can't shoot for a while, but every time the timer ends, we can fire again. Okay. Now, if you save and run the scene, you can see that when I when I hold the what? Okay, when I hold the, what the hell, cannot call start, oh, sorry, right, my bad. We need to actually store the reference to the timer. So I created this var timers here, but it doesn't actually store anything. If I go into my player inspector, and you can see here you have the speed and fire rate. This is where I said you can change and customize the speed and fire rate as you like. And you can see this button that says assign. So click at that, and make sure you select a timer, press OK. Yeah. So if you're having like an error that says cannot call method start on a null value, you just need to assign it over here with the player node selected in the inspector. Now if I run it, you can see as I hold the button, I can no longer fire a laser, and it's a more controlled stream of bullets. OK, that's your shooting done. And that was probably the most code-heavy part of the entire section. Lastly, we want to make our things hit each other, right? We want them to collide, and we want our bullets to kill the player. We want our enemy to kill the player. And we want our the bullets to kill the enemy to kill the player. And to do that, we use collisions. So yeah, there are two types of collisions, physics collisions and non-physics collisions. So physics is like when you put a ball on top of a table, it doesn't pass through it because the table is colliding with the ball in the game engine, right? And a non-physics is like when you go and collect a coin in Super Mario, for example, you don't actually get knocked back by the coin, okay? So that's the other type. It's known as trigger collisions as well. Both objects in a collision event, like if I hit a chair, the chair is also technically hitting me, right? I think like Newton's third law and everything. So both objects require a collision shape to be able to register the collision. Like I said, we want a bullet to kill the enemy. So the collision that our game needs is a collision between the bullet and the enemy, a collision with the player and the enemy. Okay, yeah, and so these are just the different like names for collision shapes. You might hear like the hitbox is the collision shape that like if something hits it, it gets registered. The hurt box is like essentially that, but for hitting something. You have triggers, you have view cones. These are all just different names for collision shapes.
Okay, so go back to your player scene and make sure you're on the 2D workspace. Just gonna, okay. And with the player selected, add node and type area 2D. Okay, you'll see a little warning icon here that says this node has no shape, right? So then with the area 2D selected, not the player, area 2D selected, Control A and type collision shape, and then you should see collision shape 2D. Not polygon 2D, make sure it's collision shape 2D, the one with the rectangle icon. Click create, and you should see this parent-child hierarchy here. So this collision shape is a child of the area 2D. Now with the collision shape selected, go to the inspector, click on this empty button here, and click new rectangle shape 2D. You should see that it creates a little hitbox for you, and you can resize this by just clicking on the vertices, like the corners. I'm going to try to make it fit where my ship is. It doesn't have to fit exactly. I can make it like as big as I want, but to be kind to our player, I'm going to make it kind of small, like that. Hopefully that just covers my ship. I'm going to give everyone some time to get that done. And if anyone's stuck anywhere, just raise your hand and we'll get someone to help you. So click on this, and then click new rectangle shape 2D, and then it makes your thing. And I just want to check what's the, I think you have an error in your page. Is your game running so far? Like when you, was it shooting?
No, I think there's something wrong with the script. Haven't checked yet.
Oh, I think it's because there's nothing there. That's, yeah, sometimes you have like really, really small, tiny errors like that. Try running it now. Yeah, so that doesn't need to be, it's already put, and this is uppercase down.
Okay.
So it's like small errors like that, but yeah. Maybe that might get everything to work. And the next thing is, you want to set the global position equal to the player global position. So yeah, so just like that is good enough for now. I used 2 bullets in the thing, but you can see the slides how to do that later. Sorry. Oh, this is just showing this empty button. You click that, click new rectangle shape, and then you can move it around by the corners.
Thank you.
I kind of fell behind a little bit, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
trying
that's
to
all good.
figure out where to copy, even just copy the code.
Oh, okay. So I think in the go back to the, sorry, is it Alt tab? Okay, yeah. Function shoot. Yeah. So all of this can just kind of be dragged in into that area there. So yeah, let me just do that. Oh, just a sec. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Just a sec. Go back to the other one and select like the entire function from the top of func shoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. All that.
Yeah, I'll just copy it.
Yeah. And then, oh, okay, I used a different name, sorry about that. It's called Campfire.
Okay, yeah.
I need to remember to change that, okay. And Campfire needs to be, okay, and then just up here, you can just select all of this up to there, maybe. Like select all the stuff there, and then just copy that. Replace with the speed with that, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll remember to change that because now if you save and try, then you need to store the reference. Yeah, you need to store the reference to your timer. That's fine. Just try putting the reference. So with the player selected here, assign, and your timer. And now try running the game. So you can just click the restart button. It'll do the same. Try pressing the space key. Okay.
Something's wrong because I can't, like, the debugger doesn't show up, but I think I have a console somewhere that...
Oh, okay. I just want to see if your movement is fine. Okay. Did you grab the... Pressed, if you press and Campfire, shoot.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was a bit
interesting.
weird. Even when I was pressing the space
Yeah.
button to print, it doesn't print anything in the.
Can't shoot is equal to. Oh, okay. It wasn't printing at all. Okay, I'm just gonna check if is it called something else on Mac. Oh, wait, sorry. This is Windows.
Windows, yeah.
So do I select the space as well? Oh, wait. I think it's because
Yeah,
this
I
thing
tried
is
the,
action just press. The thing is action pressed.
Yeah, he tried to change it to just press because
That wasn't
press
working?
Yeah, but we
Okay.
can try it again. See if it-
That's really strange if it's not working.
Yeah. I'm not sure why.
Okay, so it fired the very first time. It just didn't fire any time after that. Which means your wait, did you fire delay? What's your fire delay at? 2.2. Okay, it's not starting the timer for some reason. Fire delay timer dot start. I'm gonna try debugging.
It just shoots like no matter what you do.
It shoots one. Yeah, that's the very first bullet that I put at the very beginning just to show that.
Yeah.
But now when I press space once, it fires it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fire it again, which means your can fire is not working.
Maybe because
Really,
it
can
starts
fire
as
is equal to true. If you can fire, shoot. Oh, okay, sorry. It's because you haven't connected the signal. Okay. So when I'm here, right, and then I go to the timer. So click that. So this is basically the signal from the timer that's letting you know, okay, the timer's ended.
Right.
So now you can fire again.
Yeah.
And then when I connect it here, I can set in this area, I can set it to be can fire is equal to true. And that's, yeah, then it should be working, hopefully.
Yeah.
Try firing now. Just hold it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, and you can always just change the values of anything in that player node up at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I changed. Okay. Yeah. So I stored a variable up here just so I can like change the value whenever I want. Right? And I think just the exact same thing out there. It's just now that I've done that, I go to the player over here. You can change it up here and store it here. So you can change it whenever you want. Then you want to assign your timer here. And do you have the timer up? Yeah. You can see the buttons now.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I have a question about GDScript. So when I do instantiate, I'd love to have type information.
The bullet doesn't have a type yet in this one. You can't store as a type because to that you have to. Oh, you hold it. Okay, you got class name. Yeah.
I add this, but this doesn't work.
What is the error that it gives you? And assign to a variable of type. Go back.
Yeah, but if I change this to Node2D, it works.
Oh yeah. Okay. Node2D is a default thing. I forgot there's a. Okay, the reason that doesn't work out is because you can't do that here because the bullet here is a script, right?
Yeah.
But my bullet is a bullet as a whole, so that bullet contains the sprite or everything like that, right? You can't interact with them directly. The reason, like, if you wanna add the type annotations, you would have to. Yeah, the only thing the furthest you can go is to Node2D. But if you want to access, like, I can access, it's kind of hard to explain, but I can store the script function somewhere else. If you wanted to do, like, if I put for example, func bullet explode in this script here, right? Then I can do that thing that you did there and add the type annotations, and then that way I can, like, call it. But I can't do it here because my bullet contains a sprite as well. It's not just the script here. That's basically why you can't do it.
I remember I did a bullet with C#. In C# you can just cast the type, but
You can cast a type, yeah, but I think
you can cast the type to the attached script.
okay, maybe you can. I remember doing something like this. I'll check with you at the end of the workshop. I'm just not sure how this works. Okay, how are we doing on time? All right, I think I'll get. Oh, yeah.
My bullet just doesn't move in it.
Doesn't move?
Yeah, I'm stuck with the bullet part.
Okay, so in the bullet script, okay, the first thing is your vector key, that's right. The bullet's not moving? Okay. Get tree dot food dot fetch child. See, does it move with the player? Oh, it's an error, okay. Okay, so this is the wrong bullet part that you've stored. That's basically it. So when I go here, we want the scene bullet, not this thing, right? Because that one was just an image that you were, had a path to. So now, non-existent. Do you have, is this Godot, did you install it just now? Like, did you have Godot installed, like in the, this is, okay. Hmm. Weird. Instantiate. Okay. Now it should work. Yeah, okay, so it's not moving, and have you attached in the bullet, so if I go here, that, so the bullet script hasn't been attached, right? So now if I press this, no, actually, I can just drag, so you can see this bullet.gd.
Yeah.
I'm just going to drag that up into the bullet script, so you should see this, yeah. Is the bullet script attached? That might have been the issue. So yeah, now you can do the same. And also, it should be not just press, it should be action pressed. Because when you do just press, that means I can't hold the button. Now if I can hold and fire. That's the difference.
What?
Start. Okay, that's because you haven't stored the reference. That's the issue that I had as well. So in player, oh, okay, it is stored.
Yeah, that's why.
Committed start on a null button. That's surprising. Is your timer a timer? Yeah. Wait, what? That's really weird.
Doesn't make any sense. The time didn't pick.
Is it disabled? Okay, you got the timeout. Okay, that is really weird. I don't know why that's happening.
What? No, because he's going to play Doom. It's Doom. We don't know Doom. Wait, is that script has to extract Doom?
Oh, yeah. I think the problem is you have two scripts. Okay, that's why. Wait. Oh, now, that's probably why, yeah. Because that one doesn't have that.
Ah.
Nice, thank you, man. What's happening, Greg?
The bullets aren't moving.
Is the bullet script attached to the bullet?
Oh, that's why.
Okay, last time.
Script should be attached to this.
Yeah. No, the topmost bullet one, not the stripes. If anyone is having issue with your bullet not moving, make sure your node 2D has the bullet script attached to it, because sometimes the scripts aren't attached to the nodes, and that's why it might not be moving. Okay, I'm gonna get started with the next part now. So, yeah, so for collisions, you know how before we added those shapes to the player? We're going to do the exact same thing, but now we're gonna add collision shapes to both the enemy and the bullet. Let me just put this on. Okay,
So save the scene, go to the enemy, exact same thing. Make sure the topmost enemy is selected. Control A, area 2D. Control A, collision shape 2D. Also, if you want, I'm just going to point something out here. You can go to the enemy, shift and select these two nodes, Control C, and then, for example, now if I go to the bullet and I press Control V, you can copy and paste nodes across the scenes, right? So in the enemy selected, I'm going to add the collision. If you see this error here on the collision shape 2D, and you don't see like a hitbox, just make sure the shape is gone to rectangle shape 2D. And let me just adjust this a little bit. So it's roughly the size of our enemy. Save the scene. Same with the bullet, roughly the size of the bullet. Doesn't really need to be exact. Yeah, okay. So now I'm going to talk about collision masks, okay? So right now we have 3 different objects, but the collisions should be filtered in a certain way because I want my bullet to kill the enemy. But if I make it, if I don't use collision masks right now, my enemy will end up killing the player itself, which we don't want that, right? So a collision masks, they just filter things out. Like when you play a video game, for example, right? And you have an enemy that has a specific job, that if it hits the player, it should kill the player. But a coin, when it hits the player, it shouldn't kill the player, it should do something else, right? So those are 2 different types of collisions, and we want to separate them using collision masks, right? An object lives in a collision layer, and it scans for collision masks. So if I am a player, for example, I would live in a player layer, and I would scan for coin layer and enemy layer, right? Because coin layer is the collision layer that's good for me, and enemy layer is the one that if I touch, I die. Okay, and you can do the other way around, where the bullet scans for enemy collisions. And I'm going to show you that in a collision matrix. Okay, but just before we do that, just go back to your main thing, go to project settings, and now in the general area here, type collision. Okay. Oh wait, sorry, no, it's not collision. It's called type layer, and at the very bottom you should see layer name. Okay, I'll just do that. Type layer names, I guess, and go down to 2D physics. I believe that's the one. Yeah. Okay, and now we'll just name our layers to make it easier in the long run. So we'll call this player projectile, or player bullet, whatever you want to call, an enemy. Okay, let's close that. I'm going to talk about a collision matrix because that is how people kind of define how different collisions do different things, right? So on the left side is, on the left is what the, whatever's on the left scans for whatever's on the right, right? So for example, a player bullet, you want him to scan for the enemy, right? These areas should never be filled because a player never scans for a player unless I guess you're doing a multiplayer game. But like a bullet would never scan for another bullet unless I guess you want the bullet to destroy each other on contact. So you can do it if you want, but most of the time this diagonal is never filled. Okay. Now I'm going to do like a Q&A with you, and I want you to tell me which of these should be ticked. Every time, for example, if I put a tick here, this is saying that the enemy scans for the player, right? So we'll start with the top row. What should the player be scanning for? And like if you have anything, just shout it out. I don't mind. So should the player be scanning for the bullet, or should the player be scanning for the enemy? Because if you want, yeah, exactly. If we want an enemy to die on contact with the, if I want a player to die in contact with the enemy, the player should be scanning for the enemy, right? So we'll do that. Okay, that did not render the way I wanted to. The player bullet scans for the enemy as well because we want the player to destroy, the bullet to destroy the enemy. What should the enemy be scanning for? Both, exactly, right? Because we want an enemy to die when it hits the player, and an enemy to die when it hits the bullet. Okay? You can do something else as well. And then, for example, if the player bullet scans for the player can shoot itself, which we don't want. But for example, if enemies scan for each other, you can make them that 2 enemies kill each other on contact if you want. Okay, so now we're going to actually set the masks. Go back to your player node, and under area 2D, not collision shape, area 2D, go to the inspector, and scroll down, you should see one area called collision. So under collision object 2D, collision. Like I said, our player lives in the player, layer 1, which is called player, and you want him to scan for, let me just go back to the matrix. You want him to scan for the enemy. So we can set the mask, which is what it scans for, to 3, which is enemy, right? Similarly, the enemy, go to area 2D, go to collision. The enemy lives on layer 3 because it's an enemy, and it scans for both the player and the player projectile. Right, so we do that. Lastly, the bullet lives in layer, as you can guess, layer 2. Wait, did I? Hang on. Oh yeah, okay. The bullet lives in layer 2, the player projectile, and it scans only for the enemy. I'll give you guys some time because sometimes you might accidentally like put them in the wrong thing, so just I'll keep switching between the 3 so you can make sure you have them right. Player is in layer 1, masks in layer 3. Enemy is in layer 3, masks 1 and 2. Bullet is in layer 2 and in masks 3. Okay, if anyone has any questions or doubts or if nothing's working, just raise your hand. We'll get someone to help you out. So the first one is layer player, then player projectile, then enemy. You don't have to name the layers, it's just to make it easier for you because all Godot will tell you is just a number, which sometimes gets a bit confusing to like manage when you have a lot of them. Okay, I'm now going to carry on because we are running a bit short on time. Set the masks, and okay. So for all these 3 nodes, you're going to do the exact same thing. Go to the area 2D, go to node, and then now we're going to add a signal. So add the area entered signal, double click it, and attach it to the player script. Right? So make sure you can just click connect, and it should add it somewhere here at the bottom. Now I'm going to delete what it says here and type, and type Q free, which is just a way of deleting the node. It's how Godot deletes it. You can see Q is this node to be deleted at the end of the frame. Right? I'm just going to copy this line because we're going to do it on all the other 3 things. Make sure you see this little green icon. That means the signal's actually been connected. Okay, so then enemy, area 2D. Make sure you're on the signals tab. So here, double click the thing, attach the signal to the top enemy script, connect, and then replace pass with queue-free. It is the exact same lines of code for all 3 objects. So bullet, area entered, connect, queue-free. And now, if you run the game, you'll notice that, okay, I've accidentally put them right in front of each other, which is probably not the greatest idea. So I will move them around. And I can delete the bullet now because we can clone it whenever we want. So put this enemy over here maybe. So now, if we shoot the enemy, it dies. And if the enemy hits the player, they both die. Okay, so we'll give everyone some time. If you guys if it doesn't work out for you, like for example, something's passing through each other, raise your hand. We'll get someone to help you out. Also, if you want, this is a good time where you can experiment and try things. Like for example, making the bullets kill each other if you want. And lastly, if you want to add multiple enemies to your game, just go onto the enemy thing, and for now, press Control D or right click, and you should see like copy paste. So Control C, Control V, or Control D, both do the same thing. You'll see enemy 2, drag him around. So I can put like 2 enemies over here, put one up there, put one up there. Doesn't really matter. So now I can just shoot them down. Yep. Okay, again, if nothing's working or something's like a problem, just raise your hand, we'll get someone to help you out. You got this, I believe in you. Yeah?
How do you disappear this from here without deleting the node?
You can just do you want to keep the node? You can just delete the node, it's fine.
You can delete the node?
Yeah, because in our script, we create the node every single time.
Okay.
So now if you run the game, it'll delete, it's completely fine if you delete it because we stored a reference using that, like type preload.
Yeah.
Because that bullet now lives in here. So even if you delete him from this main area here, it doesn't completely delete it.
Okay, yeah. I thought it deleted.
No, yeah, that's fine. No worries. Delete this thing when you're in the game view here. Now you can delete him because it's been stored in its own scene down here when we saved it. So if you delete him up here, it won't affect anything.
So I can just press
Yeah, you can press delete. Also, if anytime you make a mistake, you can always Control Z or Command Z. It works in this engine. Yeah. Sorry, just pass through.
If I press enter here, I get out.
Oh, okay. So this is because the timer over here in your player, you need to store a ref. So right here, right? We said at the very top, we have this timer, but it's not actually storing anything. So you can see here it says assign. So if I click that, now it asks you where you want to. So now this timer is stored in this player script. Okay. So that's why, because before you can see the error set, cannot call method start. So this on a null value, which just means there's nothing stored in this. So now if I run it and you press space, you should be able to fire. And also I think, I don't know if someone helped you out. Just pressed is, you can just use pressed instead of just pressed, because now you can hold and fire. Yeah. Yep. The timer, you're getting call start. Yeah. So in your player scene, I made the same issue as well, so that's why. Here in the main area, you need to assign the timer by just clicking that. So that way, this timer variable here, sorry, where is the timer variable? The timer variable somewhere, I don't know where you wrote it, now stores the reference. Because before, you can see that it says call on a null value, which is, yeah, this fire delay timer doesn't store anything until we assign it up there. Okay. Now if you run it, let's say no main scenes.
Also, my collision thing's also not working.
Okay, yeah, hang on. Your fire is also not working.
Yeah, only fires one.
Yeah. Oh, that's because the timer signal hasn't been attached. So here, right? You know how I talked about whether they do the signals? One of them is timeout, which means it emits when the timer ends, right? So attach it to the player. So now you can see it out here. And we'll say, once it's timeout, you can fire again. So can fire is equal to true, right? And then hopefully that should get it to work. Okay. And instead of just pressed, I think maybe someone had written this for you, or if it had auto-completed, it should just be like is action pressed. So. This is that? Oh, that's FN, sorry, my bad. Okay, so now you can hold and fire. Should be able to hold and fire. Yep. And the collisions don't work, right? Okay, so do you have the collision shapes on all of them? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and your masks have been correctly put. So if I go to area 2D, that's right. That's right. Okay, lastly it's the signals, right? So on area 2D, did you put this signal here? So click on area entered, attach it to, just you have to do this all three. Just connect. And then here okay, yeah, make sure you see this icon here. If you don't see this icon here, that means it's not been connected properly. So now we can just bring that down there. And just do the exact same thing on the other two nodes, and then it should start working. Okay, I think we're almost out of time, so I'm just going to quickly run through the last part. This one is probably the most straightforward because we've kind of done it for you. So now, where is my mouse? Did I put it on someone's table? Does anyone have like a random mouse that doesn't belong to them? That's fine. I'll find it at the end. Oh, okay. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll just add a little aesthetic scrolling background, so it's not like we're firing in the gray background. So we'll do that. Jump back to the game scene. All right, let me click this one. Okay, jump back to the game window down here, and in your file system, in the workshop resources folder, at the very bottom, at the very top, you should see background. So just open that folder up, and you should see these 3 files, right? I want you to go to the main game over, okay, hang on. I want you to the main game over here, and then Control A, add a parallax, so P-A-R-A-L-L-A-X, 2D, okay? And then all I want you to do is drag this background.tscn underneath that, like that, and you should see something like this.
You should see hopefully an image pop up. Okay. Once this is done, okay, if you run the game, you'll notice that we have like a nice background. But firstly, most likely the background is covering everything else, right? This is how Godot, this is kind of like an issue with how Godot runs or like displays things. So if I take this parallax 2D and drag it to the very top, it'll now go at the bottom. So anything at the top is drawn first, and anything at the bottom is drawn on top of it. So now we can actually see our player, bullets, and enemies, right? Lastly, to make it look a lot nicer, we want to make the background scrolling. So I'm going to go down to the parallax 2D node, right? Not background, parallax 2D. Go to the inspector, and now we're going to set go to the repeat function here. Sorry, not repeat function, the repeat property. Set the repeat size to, I believe, 320, yep. And set the auto scroll to 30. Okay. More or less, you don't have to worry about what exactly is going on, but just to like let you guys know, what this is doing is it is making a copy of our background and putting it underneath the player. And now, then after that, it just starts like scrolling it up. And because our camera is smaller than this background, it looks like the background is moving. So you can get something like that. And you can also, if you want to make your background scroll faster, you can just change this auto scroll button, auto scroll property. So let's say if I make it like 60, you start scrolling through the background a lot faster. I would advise actually not making it to 60. Oh, sorry, last thing. Go to override here and click on ignore camera, what does that say? Ignore camera scroll. And then we should get a nice moving background. Don't set it to 60 because then it scrolls the same speed as the enemies, which is a bit weird. You can set it to anything but that. And that is most of it. Lastly, again, if you want to add more enemies, I would say you just take them and duplicate them and put them up at the top. In our second part of the tutorial, we'll actually focus on the spawning and the game, the enemy mechanics, as well as some UI and score. So that is all of the stuff done, and hopefully by the end of this workshop, you should have a player shooting an enemy, a little bit of the beginning to your pixel shoot 'em up. Anyone has any doubts, you can raise your hand now, and we can try to get that sorted out, hopefully, so your game works at the very end. So yeah, just raise your hand, we'll get someone to help you. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think I'm missing the connectors again.
The signals again?
Yes.
So is the collision still working?
Let me. I feel like I need to actually.
Okay, yeah. So okay. So have you set the masks properly? Like when you did here, right?
Yes,
did you set all these layers to like? Okay, you set these right on all three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it is. Yeah. So just go to the signals over here, node, and with this area 2D selected, you should see a bunch of these signals.
Yep.
Area entered. Double click. You can leave everything to the default. Just press connect.
Okay.
And now, okay, yeah. So if you don't see this green icon here, even if you've written the function, it doesn't mean it's actually been connected properly. So you can just like bring that down there. Yeah, and then replace the pass with it. Yeah, the entire line you can replace. Yeah.
Like it's not exactly code. Like.
Yeah, this is the Godot's like thing that it does. So yeah, you have to actually connect them with the UI. You can actually do it with script, but it's kind of complex, and I'm gonna not cover it in probably any of the workshops. You do the exact same thing for the other two things. Just this one is connected, so that's fine because you can see there's a green icon. The next one, oh sorry, click on these ones here. Yeah, so just make sure you see until you see a green icon. So you do the same thing. Area entered 2D. Yep. Yeah. Now you see the green icon, so that's working. And then the third one, that bullet.gd script. Double click that. Connect. If it makes an extra one, you can just move it around. Sorry. Yeah, anyone else need some help? I want to make sure you guys all have a semi-working game by the end of this workshop, so you can help someone there.
The option if it's like kind of struggling, not working.
Oh yeah, if your game is like really, really not working, like absolutely nothing is working, in the workshop resources, we have pre-made scenes, so you can just drag them in. Like for example, if I just dragged in this player, okay, let me fix that, hang on. Textured PNGs. Does this work? Oh, okay. If your game doesn't work, we will fix it next workshop because right now I haven't fixed this yet, so ignore that. Auto scroll? Yeah, so when you're on this parallax 2D selected, go to the repeat here. Set the repeat to, I think, XY 320. And set the auto scroll to 30. I believe that should work. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any doubts? I'm free to help them out. Just raise your hand. Okay. All right, see you, man. Thanks for coming. Oh, Steven, I didn't even realize you were there. I didn't even realize you were there, bro. My bad. My bad. My bad. I finished 2 reels. Oh, did you do the restaurant one?
Yeah, I posted it.
Oh. Okay, so that's everything done. Yeah, I'll just. Oh yeah, so I'm just gonna drag. Firstly, make sure this is the child of the background like that. I'll just bring it up and okay. Okay, so that's everything. Hopefully your game is working. Thank you all for attending, and yep. Hope you enjoyed the workshop. Make sure to come for part 2. Yada yada yada. Oh, also, wait. Before you leave, can you guys please scan the QR code on the right so we can get feedback? Wait, Taha, did you make the feedback form? Okay. Yeah, so just scan the QR code so we can get some feedback for the workshop. Please. Of what?
Everyone.
Oh, yeah, we can take a photo. Okay.
Photo.
Take a photo. Sure. Where do we like
You
stand?
can just do it at the front.
Okay. If anybody wants to take a photo, like commemorating your first game, just come to the front. I'll be standing here, looking like a statue. All right. Is that everything on the right?
Yeah, I mean, the slides are all online, so you can just do that. Yeah. You did such a good job, man.
Yeah, dude, my contacts are starting to dry up. I'm probably blinking like.
Is it on?
No.
Okay. Hello everyone. Can we just give Sujay a huge round of applause for the workshop and all the sleepless nights?
Yeah, and this presentation took way too long. I'm never doing it again. Yeah. Probably don't need a phone. I mean, it could.
All right. I'm gonna close the recording.
Yeah. Did you record?